them to like drown in fur.
100%.
Yes.
Like that'd be unfortunate if that were to happen.
Oh, they'd just be swimming in that suit.
Swimming in that suit lagoon. Suit lagoon. I don't know. What do you? These transitions are hard. Okay.
I thought you said we were geniuses last transition.
Well, that was ironic.
Also, it took me all this time to realize that the 4 or 5 masks I have on the wall are the 5 monsters that we're talking about.
Hey!
I'm just missing the bride, but like, hey, Frankenstein's up there.
No, absolutely. But speaking of monsters
That we figured that out into the last segment.
100%. Speaking of monsters that we're talking about today, Creature from the Black Lagoon.
Man, that was an amazing segue.
You're welcome.
Man, speaking of topics and things.
Speaking of words, other words.
So speaking about Rick Baker, Creature from the Black Lagoon, he didn't work on it, but we can talk about it.
Although apparently he almost did, because I found this out, John Carpenter almost did a remake of Creature from the Black Lagoon in like the late 80s.
Yes, I remember hearing about that too.
And I want to say that Rick Baker was going to do the special effects for it.
That would have been amazing.
Right?
Send me to that alternate reality.
100%. Because Creature from the Black Lagoon, it never, they never got a remake. They've been talking about...
I think Rob Zombie was supposed to do one too.
Yeah, that's what I need is to find out that the creature had a white trash family of fishmen. That
he just came from a polluted swamp.
I'm not gonna quote.
It was a real toxic environment.
I'm not gonna quote William Forsythe, but I really want to do like a fish talk version of his one quote from the beginning of the movie. I just. If any of you have seen Rob Zombie's Halloween, I think you know what I'm getting at there. I'm not gonna say it.
Why not?
Because it's vile, just like that whole movie is vile.
Why don't you tell me?
I'm not gonna tell you. Anyway,
I don't know what he's talking about.
I'm not gonna. I don't feel like it. Anyway, so Creature from the Black Lagoon is
more like Creature from the Whack Lagoon.
The Whack Lagoon. And that's another... Isn't the Van Helsing actor also in that one?
No, I don't believe so.
Yeah.
That's the one I've probably seen the least.
Right.
And I probably haven't seen it in the last little while here, because we haven't got to it yet.
Right. But it was one of the early... Apparently it was one of the early 3D films.
Yes.
Because that was one they wanted to shoot in 3D. I always remember the theme from
it's not that you shoot it in 3D, they just convert it to 3D.
Right.
That was back before...
Because Them was also supposed to be a 3D film at the time, too.
Yeah, they just didn't convert it.
Yeah. But I really like... it's a very iconic design, obviously.
Very surprised design.
Very surprised.
Again, I have the mask upstairs, but I'm not running back upstairs.
No, for sure.
We've seen how well you ad-lib without me.
Yes, of course.
Didn't even dance.
But it's one of the ones where
he's always surprised.
I always remember the theme as well, like that, kind of that flourish.
Nope.
In the soundtrack, like that.
Oh, I thought it was just generic monster music.
I always remember that, whenever you show the hand reaching in, the swimming scenes, things like that. It also is that's just one of the more creepy images. When you don't see the creature and you just see its hand and all that, very creepy.
The hand is more terrifying than the face.
Absolutely, no. The face is
surprised all the time.
Ooh.
But like a blow-up doll.
But smells fishy. But no, I really like the setup for it, like them going into the Amazon River and all that, and discovering what they think is this ancient race of fishmen, and just and then discovering that they're still alive, or at least one of them is still alive. I think all that's really cool. I love the underwater photography stuff. I think it's really cool. The fact that they got an Olympic swimmer to play the creature in the underwater scenes as well. Like there's this like, and again, the creature swimming is also like very creepy as well. Just the way it looks when
It's looking straight down and just
yes, but like there's something about like the way it's moving in the costume underwater that like it just looks creepy to me, you know. Um, so like that one I also think is really cool. But again, we'll talk about like the monster walk when it's on the boat. It is doing the like,
with its feet flapping and
yep, just gills going. I guess yeah, like it is the Gill Man. It's not this like the Gillman's the actual creature name, if I recall correctly, because that's the name they use in Monster Squad as well. Is the Gill Man?
no, they call him the Gill Man because they can't use the name Creature from the Black Lagoon.
Right, but most people call it the Gill Man. Most people call him the Gill Man. I'm pretty sure.
I can neither confirm nor deny. I have not enough knowledge, and this book is too heavy for me to look up anything on my computer.
Well, of course, naturally.
Because I was thinking about that, I'm like, I could Google it, and I'm like, I don't want to lift this book up. So right now we're researchless.
You just got to do some reps with that book.
No, it's nothing to do with that. It's fragile and very precious to me.
Of course. Which is why you took the dust protector off.
Yes, so I'm dusting it with my hand.
But yeah, like, what made you? Because like, did you watch the Creature from the Black Lagoon around the same time you watched the other ones?
Yeah, like they were all at the library, and I just kind of would borrow ones here and there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, for sure.
And Creature was one of those ones, and yeah.
It's also like it is the latest of like, or I guess like it is like latest as in like when people talk about like the classic era of the Universal monsters, this is like the last one they did.
It's the beginning of the end because it was that one, an Abbott and Costello one, and then 2 sequels.
Yeah.
And then nothing.
Yeah. So like it is very much like it kind of is the last classic one they did, and it came out like what, a decade after
the
Wolfman?
It was in the 50s.
Because I know a lot of people consider because it's Family Opera came out after Wolfman. Before? Okay. Because I know a lot of people count that one as well, but like it's rarely ever brought up in conversation the same way that the others are. So like this one to me is like the last like. It is the last of the great Universal monsters.
Oh, it's iconic designs.
Yeah, 100%. And like I definitely remember. Funny enough, I remember the creature before seeing the movie because we went into like this like a 1950s style diner on a family vacation, and they had a pinball machine for the Creature from the Black Lagoon. And I was like, oh, that's a weird looking fish man on that. On that thing, and then of course eventually I would end up watching the movie along with the other ones when I was introduced.
It's another creature that I had in my brain. I knew it existed. It was there wasn't a moment of like, oh, I saw this for the first time. It was just like, oh, this thing also is a part of all these other things that I just know about.
Yeah,
which is weird.
Absolutely. But I guess if you really want to like. If you want to get technical about it, I guess like the movie kind of did have like a quasi sequel / remake in Shape of Water.
Yeah, that was a weird movie. It was a good movie, but it got weird.
Yeah, well, it's Del Toro, man. It wouldn't be Del Toro if it wasn't a little bit weird.
It got weird in ways that made me uncomfortable.
You don't say. But
I hope this doesn't awaken anything in me.
But no, I really. But again, like Del Toro very much is just like, well, what if like, because he always talks about like the reason he always like loves to make like cool, like really interesting movie monsters is because like when he was growing up watching those movies, he always saw the empathy in the monster themselves and like wanted to make movies where the monsters were like the heroes. Like you see that in Hellboy, of course, and then like Shape of Water. Obviously, the protagonist is like.
Not Pan's Labyrinth.
Not Pan's Labyrinth. Well, no, like the fawn is a protagonist of sorts.
I thought the fawn was evil.
No, the fawn's a good guy. No, you're thinking of the Pale Man.
No, I know the difference between the fawn and the Pale Man.
Yeah. Like it's been a while, but the fawn like is guiding her through that world. It's like her Mr. Tumnus.
I need to revisit this because I feel like that's a.
It's been a while since I've watched Pan's Labyrinth as well, but if I recall correctly, the Fawn is a good guy.
I don't. I thought he was manipulating her.
I don't believe so. I mean, like, it'd definitely be a read. Like, again, like, that movie is full of, like, different reads as to, like, whether or not the fantasy stuff is even real, so. I want to say somebody, there are, like, two different fan edits of that movie where, like, one portrays, like, basically, like, makes it more of a fantasy movie, and the other makes it more of a war movie. And it's interesting because, like, both work very well.
Mm-hmm.
But, like, overall, I think the meshing of the two is what works really well about it.
I can agree.
Yeah. But yeah. No, it's, But no, that's, Is that everything on the creature?
Yeah, I don't got much more to say. I've never seen the sequels.
Which is fair. I just know Clint Eastwood is in the last one. It's like his first, like, big film role.
No, he's not even. He's not even a big role. He's just in it.
Yeah. But no, like, it's the first movie he's, like, in.
But he's not in. He's just there because he's uncredited.
He's not credited as Clint Eastwood,
Nope.
future Western star Clint Eastwood.
Yep.
Yeah. I definitely would say, like, it's higher up than The Mummy for me, but, like,
Yeah.
but I don't, because again, like, it is its own story, but it's not it's not my favorite of them for sure.
No, I can agree with that.
Absolutely. So yeah, that's the classic monsters.
At least the ones that were in that game.
Absolutely.
We. Uh-huh.
And it's just really cool. Again, like, we could talk about the influence of, like, all those movies as far as, like, where, like, obviously you get stuff like Monster Squad, which also has, like, all of those in there, and, like, they've got their own, like, unique designs.
Clearly Universal Monsters had an impact on horror as a whole.
Absolutely.
And horror storytelling in media and in film. Like, there's a reason why they are classics, and they have imprinted on society, and they will imprint for probably forever. Like, that's the thing, is they're probably going to have that lasting impact even after people have forgotten those movies exist.
Well, again, like, those films still, they're probably some of the best preserved movies of all time. Like, they literally just have been restored into 4K, and, like, they've been freshly released, and, like, they're celebrating, like, their 90th anniversary editions. Like, so, like, they're, like, those movies will always be around in one way or another, and those iconic images of those characters will always be a part of the zeitgeist, whether or not people even know that those movies exist necessarily.
Yes, because whether or not you watch the movies, you know who Dracula is, you know who Frankenstein is, you know about the Mummy, you know about the Wolfman and werewolves, and you know about the creature. Like, if you show the amphibious monster, you're like, oh, that's the creature from the Black Lagoon. Like, people know.
100%.
Whether they watch the movies or not, they know.
Yep, like the wrapping of the bandages and the hat and all that stuff, like, of the Invisible Man, like, that you still see the influence of that. Like, again, like, you look at Doom Patrol with I can't remember.
Negative Man?
Yeah, Negative Man, thank you. I was just trying to think of his name, but, like, yeah. But, like, that's very much like the Claude Rains look. So it's, to this day, even if people don't know those movies, they definitely know the iconography of them.
Well, I mean, again, the Invisible Man specifically, that story's been around since the 1800s, and that imagery's been around since then.
100%.
Same thing with, again, Frankenstein, Dracula. Like, there's a reason why these stories have stuck around as long as they are.
And why people keep trying to recapture that magic in different ways.
The problem is, a lot of times you're trying to modernize it.
Yeah.
And the modernization doesn't always translate into older stories.
Do you think there is, like, and again, they keep trying. Like, they've tried 3 times now to try and build another version of, like, their, like, cinematic universe, as it were. Do you think there is a world where it actually, like, do you think there is a world where it actually does come together again and, like, still is popular?
I think when they treat the films as individuals and then bring them together, yes, 100%.
Yeah, as opposed to just trying to, like, again, they always try to, like, thrust everything in there and like try to be Marvel right out the gate. When again, the Universal monsters don't have to be Marvel.
Yeah, just tell a good Dracula story, tell a good Frankenstein story, tell a good Wolfman story.
Mm-hmm.
The thing about a lot of these characters, they are immortal.
Yes.
So you can have a period piece, and then if you want to set it in modern day later on, 100% you can.
Just like Dracula Untold tried to do.
Yeah, you can do that if you want.
Mm-hmm.
That's if you want to set it in modern day. If you want to have it be more classic period piece, you can do that too.
Yeah.
It just, again, depends on how you handle it.
Yes.
And I think there are ways to do it. I just think rushing it is not the way.
No. Absolutely. It's like you gotta have an idea, you gotta have a good idea for a movie before you try to have your big picture.
No, completely.
Putting the cart before the horse, as it were.
Yes.
I just realized you put your glasses down on the eyes of the.
All the better to see you with.
All right. So obviously, like, so I think that brings us to a close, as it were. So what would be? Do you have a question of the day, Ethan?
No, I don't have a question of the day.
Okay.
Do you?
Actually, I think I just asked it. Really, it was the. You think they could bring them back in the modern day and have it work?
Again, yeah, anything can. You just gotta sit down and think about it critically.
You just have to have people who actually care.
And treat them like horror movies, not like an action movie.
Yeah. Although, again, arguably that's like what the Brendan Fraser movie did, but the Brendan Fraser Mummy still has it still very much is a horror movie and has.
It's a horror movie first with action elements.
Yeah, and that's why it works. Like the sequel,
whereas Dracula Untold, I'll lump in I Frankenstein, The Mummy.
Yeah.
All those modern ones, the ones that have taken place within the last 10, 20 years. Those are all action first, horror second.
Yeah. I would say the Joe Johnston Wolfman does a pretty decent job of mixing the two, but it is definitely more of an action horror than anything else.
Yeah, and you want to have character driven stories. You want to have those monsters be reflected.
Yes.
Like if you told me that you were going to start off that cinematic universe with Bram Stoker's Dracula, Mary Shelley's Frankenstein, and
Joe Johnston's Wolfman?
Nope. And The Mummy.
Yeah.
All those that came out within that in the 90s.
Yeah.
And you're like, we want to build our cinematic universe off of these three movies. 100%, I'd believe that.
Yeah.
I'd be like, okay. And technically, like, you can look at those, and you can throw in the Wolfman as the last one. Throw in Hollow Man as the Invisible Man. We have, minus the creature, we essentially have a setup for a cinematic universe.
Right. Yeah.
Like you have all those elements introduced into a new one in the 2000s. And arguably you did already have a crossover with League of Extraordinary Gentlemen.
And Van Helsing. The straight up they did.
Have you seen League of Extraordinary Gentlemen?
I have not.
It still shocks me.
I just know. All I know about League of Extraordinary Gentlemen is that it's the movie that Sean Connery did because he regretted not being Gandalf.
It's a fun time.
And then he retired because he realized he did not understand the movie industry anymore.
It's also true.
So, yeah.
So you can do it. Again, it's just it's how you treat the characters.
Yeah.
That's my answer.
100%. And I'd be inclined to agree with you on that. Like, it just comes down to, like, caring about that core horror element and caring about, like, having the characters be the centerpiece as opposed to trying to turn them all into action superheroes.
Yes.
So, yeah, 100%. Well, that about wraps up this delightful Halloween special of A Feast of Films.
Yeah. Happy Halloween.
Happy Halloween, everybody. Ethan, where could the people find you?
You can find me on Instagram at Ethan R. Hill. You can find me on YouTube at Ethan R. Hill. And you can find Damned Rights again online at projector.com.
Absolutely. You can go on there, give it a buy, give it a rent.
Yes. And I'm going to say it again because you hate over me. Projector.com with a K.
Projector.com.
There'll be a link down below. Go and watch our movie.
Absolutely.
Because it's Halloween.
And you can finally watch it once again.
Yes.
After weeks, it's finally been sorted out.
After months.
Months.
July. From July until now.
That's fair. But yeah. No, like, that was just really nice to, like, finally get it figured. So yeah, go and give it a watch.
What about you?
What about... Well, thank you. You can find me at Jesse R. Prosser on YouTube. You can find me at that J Prosser on Instagram. And yeah, that's of course, you just talked about the movie being on projector, so there you go.
Yes?
Yes.
What?
Anyway, I hope you all have a very spooky weekend and a awesome Halloween, and just try to have too much candy, but have the right amount of candy, I guess. I don't know.
Have fun, but not too much fun.
Not too much fun. Make sure things are spooky, but not too spooky.
Be safe, but not too safe.
Not too safe. All right. Have a good night, everybody.
Have a happy Halloween.
Halloween.
All Saints Day month.
All right. Good night.